nights when they were getting the best of me. Finally, the man upstairs blessed me. So the rest will be easy. Tease me, I won't crack a sweat. I got a 12-inch in my stereo set, ready to play for all the girls that...
Hi, welcome to Nick's Cook Show. Today we're going to be cooking muscatelli. Now for the ingredients. First you need noodles, ragu, or any kind of sauce you like to put in it. Hamburger, onions if you like, or green peppers if you like. You don't have to have them in there. First we need to get the noodles boiling in the water. As you can see, I already preheated the pot. Go ahead and dump them in there. Put that out of your way. Stir them up. And I added some salt to the water. Therefore, they will not stick together or stick to the bottom of the pot. You want to keep stirring them for a while. Okay, turn them down a little bit so they don't boil over. Okay, next you want to get your hamburger going. I kind of brung a lot of hamburger because there's a lot of people in class to eat it, so besides that, Charlie's hungry. Just take it, spread it around all over the pan. Make sure your hands are clean, that way Mr. Woody don't grab it. I'm going to turn this down a little bit. Take the chunks and chop them chunks up. Make sure your fire's not too hot. That way it don't burn your hamburger. Because that's like the main part of your meal, really. Keep checking your noodles. Make sure they don't boil over or nothing. Just keep turning the hamburger on both sides, that way it gets done on both sides. I want to salt it and pepper it a little bit. Add some flavor. Now for your green peppers and onions, if you want, just go ahead and spread them in your meat. That way it'll cook them with your hamburger. Tastes better that way. Pot's boiling over here. Turn that down. As you see, I already chopped these up. When you're chopping them up, you want to get them in real small pieces. That way you don't bite into one, gag yourself, or nothing like that. Like some people in the studio have done already with their cook show. Don't want to mention any names. Travis, Blankenship. Hamburger's getting a little hot. Need to turn that down just a tad. Keep stirring. That way it don't burn. That's too much. Okay, we're going to go to commercial break and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed your commercials. As you can see, I've strained the meat already. We are going to put it back in the pan and add the sauce to it right now. Stir that up a little bit, get your fire going. You want to take your meat out the first time before it's real done. That way, when you put it back in there to add the sauce, it's not burned or nothing like that. It don't get too well done. Shake your sauce up a little bit. That way, the good stuff comes off the bottom. If you have problems like that, you just take a dry towel or something and just kind of put it on top. Comes right off. Spread it all around. Turn it down a little bit. Keep stirring. Man. Just keep stirring it around. Mix it in real good with your meat. Let that cook for a while. And go back to the noodles. Noodles should be done. You betcha. Now you need to strain the water out of the noodles here. It's your little pot here. Unplug it. That way you don't electrocute yourself. You might want to get a bigger bowl because it might just, overflow like this one is. Turn your meat down a little bit. Get that out of your way. Hot, hot. I have already made some noodles. To add with them. So we'll just dump them in there with these. Stir them up. stirring your meat. I also have some more meat I've done made. Just pour it in with the noodles. You can add the sauce, mix it in with the other kind. Okay, this is about done. Just spoon it out, I guess. The easiest way to do it. Not the cleanest way to do it, but the easiest. Stir that up a little bit before you get all your meat in there. That way. Looks good, don't it? Not really, but probably tastes good. Don't get carried away or nothing like I did. Keep a spooning. I don't have a plate to put this on, but that's your final finished product right there. That's what it looks like. Thanks for cooking with Nick.
Hi, welcome to my cook show. Today we'll be making nacho dip and taco dip. We'll start out with the ingredients. For the nacho dip, we have Velveeta, no bean chili, and hamburger, which I've already browned and drained. You need a pound of it. Okay, for our taco dip, we'll need bean dip, taco seasoning, lettuce, which I've already washed, taco cheese, black olives, and chips and sour cream. Okay, we're going to start by cutting the Velveeta, but okay, I just cut it into squares, just big enough so that it'll melt. Usually about that big, something like that. Start putting that in here. Okay, now that I have all this in here, I'll have to stir it occasionally, but usually you can let it sit for a while because it takes a long time for all that to melt. First, you need a can of bean dip, and you need a container. I usually put it in one that I can see through, because then I can tell if it's even or not. You just take the bean dip, and spoon it out in there. Use the whole can. Spread it out even on the bottom. Don't want it too thick. I guess you could use more bean dip if you like it, but after you put all the layers on, it kind of gets kind of thick, and it's kind of hard to dip into it. It gets kind of heavy. If you wanted to make more, you could just buy a couple more things of bean dip and just double the recipe. Okay, next we have to mix the sour cream and the taco dip. You need an 8-ounce thing of sour cream for every can you use of bean dip. Use the whole thing. Okay, and then it says to use a whole package of taco seasoning, but a lot of times I don't because it makes it really spicy and really strong. I usually just add some and mix it up a little and then just keep adding it because you can tell by the color of it if it's going to be enough. And the smell, it smells really strong. Okay, we can add a little bit more in. And we'll just set that aside. We don't need that anymore. Make sure you get all the taco seasoning mixed through the sour cream because otherwise it's, like I said, it's really spicy and strong and it'll like burn your mouth if you don't mix it really good. Then you just put it on the bean dip. And we'll even this out. Okay, I think that's pretty even. As much on the spoon. Okay, then you need to cut the lettuce up. Like I said before, I already washed this and drained it off a little bit. I probably won't use all of it, but it just depends on how much you like. It's up to you, really. I really don't like that much lettuce. And you need to make sure you cut it into little, small pieces because it is for a dip, and you don't want to have to get these big pieces in this. You can put more things in this if you like. You can put onions or just basically anything, tomatoes or whatever, but I don't like tomatoes and I really don't like onions. So basically I just put this and the olives on. And also it gets really thick if you put a lot of stuff on it and it's kind of hard to use it for dip. And this is really easy to take anywhere. You just put it in this little Tupperware container and basically you can take it anywhere you like. And it's really good. A lot of people like it. Okay, I'm going to go over here and check on this before I cut the rest of that up. It's starting to melt a little. It takes quite a while to get it melted, but once it starts melting, it goes pretty fast. Get a napkin. Then I just sprinkle the olives over. I bought 1 can of olives, and I cut them and drained them. And that's why I already did that and have them cut up already. It takes quite a while to cut the olives into little pieces. And you want to drain them the night before usually and just set them on a paper towel or something after you cut them, because otherwise all the juice off the olives kind of makes it really soggy and it's not near as good. Okay. And then you can buy any kind of cheese. You can grate your own, either way. I usually get the Mexican kind because it kind of goes along with it. If I can get the Mexican cheese open. Okay, I'll just put it like this. Just sprinkle that over the top. Oops, making a mess. Got it all? This Mexican cheese has already been spiced, too. It kind of has the taco seasoning with it. Okay. That's all you have to do for that dip. We'll set that over here. Throw this away. Okay. Go back over here and check the... It's melting a little better, too. Like I said, this takes a while to melt. Once it gets started melting, it doesn't take quite that long. But I usually warm the crock pot up first and then put it in. But you want to make sure you don't leave the crock pot on too long because it'll burn the cheese. Okay, we'll have to let that cook a little bit longer. While that's doing that, we'll put the chips on a plate. I bought 2 bags of chips, but they won't all fit on there. For both of these dips, you probably need quite a bit of chips. It just depends on, I guess, how many people you have coming over or eating out of it. You can buy any kind of chips you want. I usually buy the kind that are already nacho flavored. I think that's about all it'll fit on there. Okay, we can go ahead and add this. Wash the spoon off. usually wait until it's a little bit melted before I add that in. And I already browned the hamburger and drained it off. And you want to make sure you drain it really good because you put this no bean chili in it, and it has all that grease in it. And if you don't drain it really good, it makes it really greasy. This dip does not look very good at all, but it's really good when you eat it. When it's all done. It makes for quite a few people too. See, it looks pretty gross on the spoon there, but oh well. Okay, we'll add in the hamburger. Seems like when you just add the hamburger that there's too much, but once you stir it in and once it all gets melted, it mixes really good. This dip's really filling too. Okay, we'll have to take a commercial break and let that melt, and then we'll come back with the finished product. Hi, welcome back. The dip's done now. We're going to put it in a bowl, show the finished product. You don't want to take too much out at a time because it is a hot dip and it'll melt, and it's not near as good when it's cold. It doesn't look that good, but it is really good. Okay, there's that. And here's the taco dip. Thank you.
Welcome to Jeff's Cook Show. Today we're going to be making stir fry. And to do this, we're going to need 1 pound of beef, 1 medium carrot, some green onions, green peppers, black pepper, soy sauce, cornstarch, cooking oil, some garlic, and a little bit of water here. Now, we need to get the skillet heating, so we'll go ahead and turn that up to a relatively high heat. And we need to start cutting the meat. Yeah. Now, I've had this meat in the freezer for about an hour, so it'll get kind of frozen and be easier to cut. You need to cut into thin strips so it has a larger surface area and it'll cook really fast. The meat should be cut into relatively thin strips, and then after you do that, you can go back and cut the strips into about bite-sized pieces, so it'll be easier to handle when you get to the cooking part. Cut this last little bit up into pieces here. Maybe. Okay, just about down here. Put all this meat in here. Put that in there. Set that aside for right now. Okay, now we need to go on to our vegetables. And we're going to start with the carrot. We'll start at this end. And when you cut vegetables for a stir fry, you need to cut it at a pretty sharp angle so it makes pieces with a real large surface area. The carrot will need to be cut pretty thin since carrots have a rather long cooking time anyways. Okay. Take this thing, put all these little carrot pieces in here. Oops. And set this over here by the meat. And we'll go on and do the peppers next. The onions. Here's your onions. Start here at this end. When you get down towards the bulb part of the onions, you go ahead and start cutting it on at a bias again, is what this cutting at an angle is called, so that it, besides giving it a large surface area, it makes it look interesting. Golly. Oops. Okay. Now take the peppers out of here. We'll put the onions into this bowl here. And set that over here. I guess start off with, for cutting the peppers, we'll cut them into thin strips. Like so. On your choice for vegetables, mainly, it's just whatever you want to put in it. I've seen stir-fry recipes with some of the strangest ingredients in it, like bok choy and spinach and all kinds of other things. Then you take the peppers and cut them lengthwise or across. Make them into smaller pieces still. Okay, put these in here with the onions. And then gotta cut up this garlic here. For cutting the garlic, you need to mince it and make it as small as pieces as possible. Just keep cutting this into really fine little particles so that you can put in with the oil and get the flavor to permeate through all of the food. Okay. Put the garlic pieces in there. Now I believe we're ready to make our sauce. Yes. Okay, so we need to put 2 tablespoons of water, which I already have measured out, into a bowl. And take the soy sauce and get 2 tablespoons of it. Okay. And next we need cornstarch. Yes. Next we need to put in some cornstarch. And the recipe calls for about 1.5 teaspoons of cornstarch. Okay. Kind of a mess there. And we need to put a little bit of pepper in. So we'll just pour a little bit of that in there. Okay, now just take this spatula here and mix all this together. And it just makes a nice little sauce here. Okay, and we need to set that aside now. Set this. And now we're ready to get ready to fry. So we need to put a couple tablespoons of oil into the skillet, which is quite hot by now. Kind of spread that out all over the pan. And we'll start cooking the carrots first. And since this is, as it's called, stir fry, you need to stir what's in the pan continuously. Keep it moving so it won't scorch. Okay, then we'll put in the peppers and the onions. Looks like we need to turn the heat on this down just a little bit. Okay, and while these are cooking, we need to go to a commercial break, and we'll come back and get the meat frying and finish up getting this cooked. Welcome back. We've finished cooking up the vegetables and we've taken them out, and now we're going to go ahead and start cooking the meat. So just go ahead and scoop that in there. Turn this back up. As I said before, you need to keep the stuff you're cooking moving just about all the time. And that way it won't scorch and it'll get all the sides cooked about the same and everything. This shouldn't take too long to cook just as much meat as I've got in here. This dish is started in the Far East and was started by Chinese peasants and has gradually worked its way over to the Americas, and it's had some things changed in it since it's come over here. Certain ingredients, like a lot of meat, were added once it got to the western side of the world. See if it's done yet. Take a piece and cut it open, and well, it's just about done already. We'll kind of push it out of the center of the skillet and take our sauce that we prepared earlier and mix that up real quick and just pour it here in the middle of the skillet. And just keep that stirred. And pretty soon it should thicken up. And that's where most of the flavor is going to come from. Alright, once it started to bubble, you can just go ahead and mix the rest of the meat in. Mix the meat up with it so it'll spread throughout the whole thing and get the flavor permeated through all the meat. Okay, and we need to put the garlic in here. And let that start simmering in with the meat. Okay, once that's all mixed up and started to cook, go ahead and add the rest of your vegetables back into the skillet. Get all them out and start mixing it up again. And this should be done in just about a minute. And we're going to go to a commercial break, and I'll come back and have it out and show you what the finished product looks like. So we'll be back in a minute. Welcome back, and here we have the final product of the stir fry, and as you can see, it's got meat and vegetables both in it, so it can be a one-dish meal. And I'd like to thank you for joining us, and join us again next time.